Good morning. Welcome to physics class. Today we are going to study the fourth chapter of your 11th standard physics textbook, that is motion in a plane. So previous chapter was motion in a straight line, or we studied the movement of an object in one dimension. That is, the object was moving along x-axis or y-axis. In this chapter we are studying about the motion of an object in a plane. The motion of an object in a plane means the object is moving in a plane. That is, we have to consider x-axis and y-axis simultaneously. We have to consider an object which is moving in a plane, just like this board. So previously we had a straight line, it was moving to a straight line. Now it will move like this. So we have to consider its movement along x-axis and y-axis. It is not compulsory x-axis and y-axis, it can be y and z-axis also. For our easy understanding, we will take it as x-axis and y-axis. So when an object is moving along this x-axis and y-axis, what is its acceleration, what is its velocity, so many details we will study in this chapter about an object which is moving in a plane. In this one, first we have to think about the quantities, vector quantity and scalar quantity, which we studied in 9th standard. Just it was not there in the 9th standard, still we discussed about this one in 9th standard. So what is vector quantity, what is scalar quantity? I think you remember that one. That is physical quantities. Physical quantity means any measurable physical quantity. That can be classified in two ways. That is, the quantities can be classified as a scalar quantity and vector quantity. So what is scalar quantity? The physical quantity which have magnitude and no direction. Such physical quantities are called as scalar quantities. Distance, then time, temperature, all those things are scalar quantities. For these quantities we don't have any direction. Only magnitude is there. We can tell the temperature is 100 Kelvin, but there is nothing like a direction for that. And if you take the case of vector quantities are the physical quantities which have both magnitude and direction. So we can take force, then if you go higher level, electric field, magnetic field, all those things are vectors. Okay, so there are so many, momentum, like that, so many quantities are there, vector quantity. So this is a basic definition how we can classify scalar and vector. That is, one is having only magnitude, another is having magnitude and direction. Okay, if you think a little more, there are some difference in this one also. For example, if you take the case of current, for current magnitude is there and we have a direction also in which direction current is moving. But electric current is not a vector quantity. So reason for that one is electric current will not obey the other rules. That is, we have something called as vector algebra. How to add vectors, how to subtract vectors, how to multiply vectors. For all those things we have some rules. These rules, this electric current will not obey. That's why this electric current, even though it's having a direction, it is not a vector quantity. So now I think it's clear what is scalar quantity and what is vector quantity. Now we will study about two new things, that is the position vector and the displacement vector. You know what is position and what is displacement. These position and displacement we already discussed in the case of one dimension. Here we will discuss in two dimensions. So it will become vector. So for example, if you take the position of an object, we will draw the axis here. So we have the x-axis here and y-axis here like this. So let the position of an object be here at point P. This is the position. And for this one we have an origin also here. So a line connecting from this origin, or a vector connecting from this origin to this point, this can be written as R. So this is called as position vector of P. So for vector we can draw a arrow mark on that one. So if you write A like this and put an arrow mark, it says this is vector A. This arrow mark says it is vector A. In your textbook this arrow mark is not marked. The reason for that one is textbook is using another notation where all vectors they will print in bold letters. But when you are writing, we don't have any option to write in bold letters, so we have to use such a symbol. So vector R means it is a position vector R, or vector A is like that. If the force is a vector, we can write the force is given by, like this we can write. So this arrow mark says it is a vector quantity. So the position vector of this P is this one. So a position vector means it's a vector starting from origin to the position where the object is there or where the point is there. That is a position vector of that point or that object. So that can be marked as R. Now you see here, after some time, this position of this object changes to another point here, P dash. It is moving to another P dash. So this is the new position vector. So this R dash is the new position vector. So this was the first position vector P. For P the position vector was R, and for the second position the position vector is R dash. Now its position changed from here to here, or if the position change, we can say for that object there is a displacement. So a vector from this here to here, this is delta R. This delta R is called as the displacement vector. So our first position vector was R and the second position vector is R dash. So the change in position is delta R, that is final position minus initial position. So this delta R, this is called as the displacement vector. So displacement vector means we have to take final position vector minus initial position vector. When you say minus, we have to subtract. How to subtract these vectors, that we will study later. Now just try to remember this much. For any position, a vector from the origin to that point, that gives the position vector. And when the position changes here to second one, we have a delta R, that is called as the displacement vector. To calculate this displacement vector, we have to take the difference of this vector and this vector. So how to calculate the difference, how to add vectors, all these things we will study after this one. I think the position vector and the displacement vector, that concept is clear for you now. Now we will discuss about the equality of two vectors. When two vectors are equal, for example, you have two vectors A and B. So when these vectors will be equal, or what is the condition for two vectors to be equal? So there are two conditions for two vectors to be equal. First condition is they should have same magnitude. Second one is naturally they should have same direction. For example, if your vector A is like this and vector B is like this, then this vector A and vector B, these two are equal because their magnitude of a vector is the length of the vector. When you are drawing this vector like this, the length shows the magnitude. So this is vector A and this is vector B. So vector A and vector B are equal because their length is same, and their length same means its magnitude is same, and they are in the same direction. See here, if this vector A is here and B is here, that will not make any difference. If you take from here and place above this one, that is same only. So it is little bit away, that won't make any difference, but it should be in the same direction. If two vectors are in the same direction, then the two vectors are equal. If they are in the same direction and they have the same magnitude. So the condition for two vectors to be equal, the first condition is they should have same direction. Second one, they should have same magnitude. So if the magnitude and direction are same, then these two vectors are equal. Now we will discuss about multiplication of a vector by a real number. For example, if you have a real number lambda, if you multiply this vector A with lambda, this one says the magnitude, okay, magnitude of this one, then it will become lambda into A, same one, okay. So what is the meaning of this one? Just if you take a particular number, you will understand. That is, if you have a vector A and you are multiplying with 2, then it will become 2A, that's all. So when you draw the vector, you can make it clear. For example, your vector is this one, A. Then you are multiplying it with 2, then it will become 2A. 2A will be same, but the length will be doubled. Because the magnitude became 2 times. When you are multiplying it with a number, its direction won't change. It will be in the same direction, but the magnitude will change. If you take 1.5a, this is 1.5a, then there is a problem. If it is minus a or minus 1, if you are multiplying, so minus a will be in the same length in the opposite direction. This is minus a. So if you multiply it to minus 1 into a will be minus a. That will be in the opposite direction. When you multiply with a negative number, it will become opposite. If it is we are multiplying with minus 2, so it will be like this. This is minus 2a. So when you are multiplying with a number, you should remember that the straight line it will stay same way, but the length will increase or decrease according to what number you are multiplying. With what number you are multiplying, that much times it will increase. When you are multiplying with a negative number, what will happen? Its direction will be opposite. That is, if your a is this one, then minus a is this one. So when you make it negative means you will change the direction. That is very, very important. When a vector becomes negative, its direction changes. Now if you want to add two vectors, there are many methods. The first and the simplest method is the head to tail method, or it is also called as triangle method of vector addition. Triangle method of vector addition or head to tail method. So this method is very simple. That is, if you have two vectors, you have a vector A and you have another vector B. You want to add this one. This is A, this is B. So what you want is you have to add this vector A plus vector B is equal to vector C, for example. Okay, otherwise we will write vector R, because when two vectors are added, we will use the word resultant. So the resultant R. So how to do this one? So what we have to do this in this one is, first you draw the vector A like this, A. And what we given the name for the method, it is head to tail method. So head of this one should touch the tail of the next vector. So this B vector, without changing the direction, you bring it here. So this is vector B. So you have vector A and B. Already you see vector A is here, vector B is there. So without changing the direction, we are bringing there. Now another vector from this tail of A to the head of B. This will be R, which is equal to A plus B. So once more, you have a vector A here, another vector B here. If you want to add the vector A and B, you first draw the vector A in the same direction with the same magnitude. And the vector B, you take from here and place such a way that tail of B is coming on the head of A. So this is B, same direction, same length. Now a new vector from the tail of A to the head of B, this one. This is the resultant vector R, which is equal to vector A plus vector B. So this method is called as triangle method of vector addition or head to tail method. So this is one method of adding the vectors. So once more you make clear how what to do. If you have two vectors to add, you take these two vectors together and the first vector you keep at a point and the second vector you arrange such a way that tail of the second vector comes on the head of the first vector. Then you will get the head here. Now another vector from here, that is the tail of the first vector to the head of the second vector. This gives the resultant vector. So this is the resultant, or this is the way we are adding A and B. So A and B, not just adding two numerical numbers. So when numerically how to add, that also we will explain after this one. But when you are using the geometrical or when you are taking the addition, we can use this one, triangle method of adding vector. And we have another method also, which is called as the parallelogram method. In parallelogram method, what we will do is, it is similar to this one only. You have two vectors like this, A and B. Same method you have to do. So your A is here, you are taking A here. Now B, you have to take tail to tail. This one. Vector B is here. Now you have to take the resultant of this one. So the method for taking resultant is, parallel to this B, you you draw another B here or B dash, and parallel to A, here you draw another A dash. So you are drawing parallel to A, we are drawing A dash here, parallel to B, we are drawing B dash here. Now if you take the diagonal, this diagonal will be R, which is equal to A plus B. That is same as the previous one only, but the method is different because we are taking here head to tail. When you practically do, in many cases we will use this one. That's why you will feel both are same. But most of the cases we have two vectors from the same point. Two forces are acting on the same point. So the adding and all this will be easier in that case. And we have the equation by connecting this angle also. If this angle is this one, what is the result? And for that one we have an equation also. That we will discuss later. Okay, as a problem, as an example, solved problem in your textbook, that is there in this one. Based on this angle, how we can say what is the resultant. So in the beginning I am not going to explain that one. Afterwards we will explain that one. That time you will understand how we will make use. So we have two methods. One is the triangle method. So only this much part will come. Second is the parallelogram method. Then we will take here and here, and the diagonal will give the resultant. That is called as the parallelogram method of vector addition. Now the next point is the vector addition is commutative. What is the meaning of that one? A plus vector A plus vector B is equal to vector B plus vector A. You will feel it as simple. What is there if you take 1 plus 2A is equal to 2 plus 1. But what happens in the vector, for addition it is same. But when you take multiplication it is not same. That's why it is specially mentioned here. So addition A plus B is equal to B plus A. For example, you are saying you will take this is A and this is B. So A plus B will be this one. This is A plus B. We can show like this. If this is A, this is B, this is A plus B. Now what is B plus A? If you want to take same, you see B plus A means first we have to take B. I am taking the same B here. Okay, I am taking B here and then adding A. That is the tail of A should come on the head of B. So it will be like this. So this is B. So I see here this is B plus A. Okay, so you can see A plus B and B plus A both have same length and same direction. So they are same. So A plus B is equal to B plus A in the case of vector addition. That is vector addition is commutative. Now we have the distributive also we can check. That is little bit different. You have to be careful in that one how we are doing it to check that one. That is it is like A plus B plus C is equal to A plus B plus C. This is what we are planning to show you. So for example, first we have to define what is A, what is B and what is C. So let this be A, this is B and this is C. Okay, same thing you should remember. A, B and C we already marked. So first we have to take A plus B. So this is A plus B. Okay, so what is this one? This is A plus B. I think you understood. This is A, this is B. So this will be A plus B. Now what is that? A plus B plus C. What is this one? This is C. So A plus B is this one. Plus C I am taking. This is C. So what will be this one? This will be A plus B. We then first this one plus C. I think this concept is clear. So this is A, this is B. This is A plus B. A plus B. Plus C. I am taking C here. Okay, that's clear for you. Now, this should be equal to A plus B plus C. So here we have to add B and C first. So what is B and C? This is B and this is C. So B plus C will be this one. This is B plus C. I think you understood that one. This is A, B and this is C. B plus C. This B plus C I done first here. B plus C. Clear? This is B, this is plus C. So B plus C is this one. Now what is that? A plus B plus C. So A is this one plus B plus C is this one. That is again this one only. That is A plus B plus C also coming same. So we can prove like this. That is this condition we can prove using this diagram. This diagram you can directly draw, but you should know what physically it is. Once more I will tell. This is A and this is B. So A plus B is this one. Now A plus B is this one, plus C is this one. So A plus B plus C resultant is this one. Now in the second case, first you have to add B plus C. That is B plus C. That is this one. You add this one with A plus B plus C. So you will get this one. Again you are getting same. So that's how you will prove that. I think this is clear. If it is not clear, once more you go back and see the video once more, then it will be clear. So we proved these two things. See here, we discussed about vectors now. Sometimes if the magnitude of the vector is 0, such a vector we will call it as a null vector. So A plus null vector, this 0 is called as null vector. That is not having any magnitude. A plus 0 or A plus null vector is A itself. So there is no importance for that one. Just you should know this 0 or a 0 vector is called as null vector. And we have something called as unit vector also. Unit vector means if you write A and a cap like this is called as unit vector. This, if you are writing R like this, then the meaning of the unit vector is that vector is having magnitude 1 and it is very important, it is having a direction. That's why, for example, if you write like this, N like this means it is N generally used for normal. So the unit vector, that is a vector with magnitude normal to that one, that is magnitude 1 normal to it. So this cap says it is a unit vector, its magnitude is 1, but the direction is very important. So to show the direction we are giving that one. So whenever we are multiplying, we have many cases this will be there. If you, for example, if it is given F like this means this F is multiplied with the unit vector. So this is normal to it. So that unit vector concept is very, very important. Unit vector means a vector which is having magnitude 1. Generally, if you take this our x, y, z axis, we have x axis, this is x, this is y, and this is z axis. So the unit vector along x axis, y axis, z axis are fixed. Actually, we have a fixed name for this unit vectors along this x, y, and z axis. Okay. So the one along x axis, unit vector along x axis, we will write it as I. Unit vector I. Unit vector I means it is along x axis. Its meaning is if somebody is telling the force is given by Fi, means the force is along x axis. So this I says it's a unit vector along x axis. And along y axis we have J. You have to write small letter with a cap. And along z axis we have K. So the unit vector along x axis, y axis and z axis are I, J and K. Now you see here, if you take the magnitude of this one, all will have the same magnitude which is equal to 1. All the vectors, that is the magnitude of unit vector I is 1. So generally we are using the unit vector to show that it is in that direction. So if the displacement is 10I means it is along x axis. If it is 20j, then it is along y axis. That's how we will mention the unit vector. So the unit vector along x axis is I, unit vector along y axis j, and unit vector along z axis is k. Now we discussed about the vector along x axis, y axis and all. Now if you have a particular vector, this vector can be resolved. Resolving a vector means, actually if you have a vector which is in a random direction, that is it is for example, your vector is like this, vector A. Vector A is like this is x axis and this is y axis. Now from the triangular law and all we seen that one vector is actually can be expressed as sum of two other vectors. That is we were done R was A plus B. Like that we can express. So this vector A can be expressed as sum of two vectors. That is one vector along x axis and another vector along y axis. So that is called as resolving it. So what we will do is this vector is A. For example, this makes an angle theta here. If the vector A makes an angle theta here, this can be expressed as sum of this vector and this vector. This vector I will draw here. This one. You understood? Because this vector can be expressed as a sum of this one and this one. This vector is same as this one. Here and here length will be same. So if this is A, this is A cos theta. This side is A sin theta. I am writing here A sin theta. This A cos theta I will write it as AX. This is AY. So this is AX is equal to A cos theta and AY is equal to A sin theta. So how we can write vector A is equal to AX plus AY. AX plus AY. Actually we can write one more thing here. When you write AX and AY, AX is along which direction we know, that is along x axis, and AY is along this x is suffix, okay. AX I plus AY J. This is suffix, okay. So AX I plus AY J. So the meaning is along x axis we have AX and along y axis we have AY. So what is this AX? AX is equal to A cos theta and AY is equal to A sin theta. So don't confuse which is cos theta and which is sin theta. Where the angle is coming, that side is cos theta and the other side is sin theta. Okay, you can remember like this. So this is called as resolving. So any vector can be resolved into its component along x axis and y axis. So if that vector makes an angle theta with x axis, then A cos theta will be AX and A sin theta will be AY. Now, so this is a notation we can write like this. In the practical case, how it will be? If this is 5 and this is 7, then you can write the vector A is 5I plus 7J. Like that you will write. So that will be the practical. For example, one force is given by 8I plus 10J. So what is this? 8 and 10. That is in this way how much it should go. In this way how much it should go. That's mentioned by like this. So this I and J are unit vectors. So you have to put the symbol for this unit vectors. So what will be the actual magnitude of this one? For example, this is 10 and this is 8 means it will be a root of 10 square plus 8 square. Same method here also we can use. The magnitude of this vector, how we can get, because it's a right angle. So magnitude of this one, this length will be root of this square plus the other side square. So that can be written as see here, if you add vectorially also, this one can be written as AX square plus AY square. AX square plus AY square means this will be A cos theta square, or you can write A square cos theta square also. Okay, A square cos square theta plus A square sin square theta. So we can see this one, this will be X square plus AY square will be equal to A square. Then what is A? A is equal to root of X square plus AY square. This is how we will get the magnitude of the vector. If you have a vector, this is the magnitude of the vector. Here you should remember this is not vector. We are telling the magnitude. So if a vector is given like this, F is given by this one, this much force is acting. How much is the actual force acting? If you want to get how much Newton it is, it will be the F, this is the vector F, and writing the magnitude of F force will be root of 8 square plus 10 square Newton. This is how, if from the vector notation we will take its magnitude. If the vector, force is given by force is equal to 8I plus 10J. So you don't understand how much is the force. You need the magnitude of the force. So to get the magnitude of force, you have to take like this, root of 8 square plus 10 square. That much Newton will be the magnitude of the force. This is how we will resolve it and how we will get the actual magnitude of that one. And when resolving also, you should know this xi and xy and all, the direction I, J, K and all should be clear about that. Now what is this theta? For this theta also we can get some values here. What is this? If you see clearly here, you can check what is this theta also. If you take here, what is tan theta here? Tan theta is equal to, see the diagram, tan theta is equal to, this side is ay, this is ax. So tan theta will be ay by ax. So if you want to get theta, theta is given by how much? Tan inverse of ay by ax. What is the meaning of tan inverse? Here take opposite. That is tan 45 is equal to 1 means tan inverse of 1 is 45. Opposite. Okay, you are taking opposite. That's called as tan inverse. So here if such a thing is given. So you got the, what is the magnitude of the force you got. Now you want to get in which angle the force is acting. So for that one, what you can write? Theta is equal to y by x. So it will be 10 by 8. You have to calculate how much is 10 by 8. That much radian or angle it is coming. So the 10 by 8 we have to take. Tan inverse of theta is equal to tan inverse 10 by 8. You calculate how much 10 by 8 and for which angle the tan theta is 10 by 8. That will be the angle of this one. Okay, I think this is clear. Once more I will move from the screen so you can just pause it and note down that one. Okay, so we will turn this one. Draw first this one and this one. As an example we done that one. Okay, I will just move away from the screen so that you can just pause it and you can write it. I think this is clear. So we have lot to do. Once you make this much clear, then we will move to the next part. Okay, this one is, all these things are the simplified one. If you go to the textbook, it will be more confusing because it is more scientifically it is given there, but how you can understand, that way I told it. Still if you have problem in understanding, just watch it 2 or 3 times, then you will understand. Don't just leave it, because if you know this one only, you can go forward in the remaining physics, especially mechanics, because remaining everything is based on such calculations. So be perfect in this one. Okay, today itself you watch it more than 1 time, 2 times, 3 times to make it perfect. You write down all these notes and all and practice it. Then remaining you will see in the next class.